Today on All Things 80s, we finally have the McFARLANE Batman 66 toys. Welcome back to All Things 80s, and I want to start out by saying that this video was made possible thanks to the generous kindness of Tree Theodore and Jody, who managed to get hold of the Batcave and the Batmobile for me. Without them, I would not have these toys, and that's all because this line currently is a Target exclusive and it is bloody hard to get hold of. With that said, I have all the parts now in my possession and I'm really excited to get these opened up and check them out. So without further ado, let's take a real good close look at McFarlane's Batman 66 line. So, starting with the figures, we have three to choose from. We have Batman, Robin and the Joker. Now, there is currently a pre-order active at Target.com to get a cowlless Batman, and there are a couple of chase variants out there in the wild. There's Robin without his mask, and Joker, who I believe is wearing a pair of spectacles. So, in addition to them being exclusive to Target, you then have to go search even deeper if you want the entire line of figures, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I think the card backs are about as perfect as you can get for a 1966 Batman line. Nice, bright, vibrant colours, and ages 12 and up, which I've said in the past on other videos, I think a 5-year-old would be perfectly safe playing with these, although I suspect these are more aimed at the adult collector. Now, the card backs, the back of the card back, nothing to write home about. You've got a close-up of each figure, and it's the same shot on each one of inside the Batcave. I really do like it when action figures have the entire line on the back that you can look at and see what you want to buy next. But anyway, we're not here to talk about cardboard, we're here to talk about figures. Let's get these opened up and we'll take a good look at Batman, Robin and the Joker. So starting with Batman, my first impressions are this is a very solid, sturdy figure, unlike the figures Mattel gave us a number of years ago. Now, my initial complaint is this cape is extremely flimsy, sort of a silk-like material, but you're going to have to be very careful with that. That can easily tear, I would imagine. Now, the sculpt of Batman is not at all bad for his head, and overall the body does look pretty good actually. The bat suit looks good. Articulation wise, not quite as many as Black Series, but certainly we have hip, knee, torso. Yep, torso does have a swivel to it. Elbow, wrist, head does swivel. Yeah, I mean, it's got as much articulation as a figure of this size requires, and it's got a good weight to it actually. Again, I keep going back to the Mattel Batman figures from a few years back, and those were very thin looking figures. I've got to be honest and say the back of the cape is not very nice. The way the fabric has been cut is rather uneven. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but that's a pretty shoddy job, if I'm being honest. That's not good. What was it, $17, $18? Expect better for your money. Now, these figures do come with the classic, you know, biff, bang, pow type speech bubbles you can actually attach to the wrists if you are going to sort of pose them in a fight scene. Probably not something I'll be doing, but let's just see what it looks like. So yeah, you can do that. What's that say? Pow. If you're into that kind of thing, that is an option for you, I guess. So this was Batman. Overall, pretty decent, but one or two flaws, especially the cape, and both in terms of the flimsiness of the material, and in fact, looking at it now, it's even worse the way it's been cut. Terrible job, actually. But anyway, Batman. Now, when looking at Robin, the first thing that strikes me is this god-awful head sculpt. Absolutely nothing like Burt Ward, and he looks like a 4-year-old boy. Rather strange there. And having commented on how badly done Batman's cape was, this one is the same type of material, and this one hasn't been cut quite so badly. Slightly better job, but these look as if they've just been cut by hand, possibly by a blind person. But anyway, the figure, much like Batman, similar points of articulation. Everything's nice and stiff, actually. It's got a good solid feel to it. And in fact, from the Mattel line, the Robin was one of the worst in terms of it feeling secure. That is just such a flimsy figure. This one does not have that problem. And thankfully, the elbow joints aren't quite as bad as they looked on the initial pictures. I mean, they're not great, but they're not quite as bad. And again, we have this sort of silly speech bubble things. This is wham and bam. No interchangeable hands, so each figure has one fist that could hold an accessory, although it doesn't come with any, and one in a punching fist type sculpt. And again, just stick one on for the sake of this video. So there's Robin giving it a bit of a wham. So overall, it's not terrible. Is it worth the $17, $18? Well, I guess in today's world, it's the going rate for something like this. I don't know, $14, $15 tops for me, but it's not bad. Just the face sculpt isn't really that great, but I can live with it. And lastly, we have the Joker. And the first thing I'm going to say is that they've failed big time because they did not sculpt the moustache under the makeup on this one, which Mattel did do, which was a nice touch. His coat, it's got an interesting sort of rubbery feel to it. It's actually quite good. Again, it's all the same articulation. The body looks pretty good. The sculpting is good. The face, aside from the moustache, is actually pretty decent, especially something in this price range. So all in all, this is a rather satisfying figure, actually. I think of the three we've had thus far, this is definitely my favorite, and a very good likeness to Cesar Romero, which is a very good thing, you know, given that this was a sub $20 figure. Again, we've got a sock and an ouch. Not sure how many people will be actually using these. I'm just wondering if they would have been better to have given us a handheld accessory, given that they have sculpted each figure with one hand that can hold something and one hand that's in a clenched fist. I would much rather have seen something else other than these, but it is what it is. I guess they thought they were being, you know, kind of cute giving us these, and I'm sure some people will enjoy them. They're just not for me. But anyway, the Joker, definitely the best of the bunch. On to the Batmobile. Now, this one is interesting in as much as this is probably the worst packaging I've ever seen on a toy. Basically, I don't know, 4/5 of the Batmobile are exposed to the elements, and I am very fortunate in that the ones that I have received have arrived relatively undamaged. In both cases, the antennas up here were slightly bent, but nothing a heat gun can't sort. I have seen images online of cracked windshields, the rocket tubes completely bent because these are a slightly rubbery type plastic, and these are prone to bending. Another point to note is the sharp corners on the end of the Batmobile here are completely exposed, and I can guarantee you, you will be finding these on shelves broken, because there is no way that this will remain undamaged, just given how much of it is actually exposed, which is something that really makes no sense to me. If you want to charge an extra $5 even to give it a proper box, go ahead and do that. There is no reason to have something like this exposed in this manner and open to all sorts of damage. Anyway, with that being said, again, the colors are spot on for a toy from the Batman 66 line. Nice, bright, gaudy colors. And on the back, we have a shot with Batman and Robin in the Batmobile and a shot of the Batmobile inside the Batcave. But I want to get the car out, I want to check it out, so let's get this opened up and see what the Batmobile is actually like. So now looking at the Batmobile, the first thing that strikes me is just how lightweight it is. It's well enough made, it's just not got much weight to it. Now there are a lot of rubbery components to this. Up here, as I mentioned in the beginning, these are prone to getting bent during the shipping process or the storage process. As with these rocket tubes, those are a very rubbery feeling plastic. Inside, it's reasonably well detailed. Now, I will be doing a video quite soon comparing this to the Mattel Batmobile, which is an entirely different kettle of fish. You know, we have the bat phone, gear stick, fire extinguisher. It's not, you know, it's not a completely basic sculpt. It's just not as highly detailed as some other models. And the steering wheel's quite rubbery as well. From the front, it does look like the Barris Batmobile. And from the rear, it would have been nice if they maybe had an attachment that could have been some flames shooting out, possibly. In terms of it rolling, yeah, very smooth, no complaints there. Doors do not open. In fact, they haven't even sculpted a door into this. And on the bottom, it's about as basic as you'll get. Now, for something that's retailing for circa, what, 30 bucks, is it good value for money? Almost, I would say. Not exactly a detailed model, and I'm just wondering, I think this is just a sticker that's, you can actually see the edges of the sticker here. I thought it might have been a water slide decal or something, but let's see what it's like with the figures. Now, my first impression is that this is probably too small because, like I said, I do have the Mattel Batmobile ready to do the next video on, and that also accommodates figures of this scale, but it is much larger, and I'm wondering if these figures will look better in that Batmobile than they do in this Batmobile. And already I'm having difficulty getting them in, partly because there are no functioning doors on this. Right, I guess he's in. We'll just put this over the back for now. So that's Batman in place and Robin. So let's try and get him in. I'm assuming he'll go in a lot easier. Right, there we go, that's pretty straightforward. So, how does it look? Yeah, as I suspected, wow, that is really bad actually. Their heads are sticking way over the windshield. So those windshields are completely useless. And in terms of how it looks, it doesn't look too small, but clearly it is. And let me try and get the cape tucked under here. Yeah, there's no way you can get these to sit down any lower. Yeah, it's definitely too small by, I don't know, a couple of inches, I would say. They could have done with making this just bigger all round. It's not actually bad at all. In fact, it's going to look great in my Batmobile collection. I just wished they could have scaled it up slightly. I don't know if they were trying to cut costs to keep it under 30 bucks, but I would gladly have paid, well, okay, I shouldn't say that because I didn't pay for this. They should maybe charge an extra 10 bucks just to scale it up slightly, because this is not That's not acceptable, actually. The more I look at it, and the more you see how their heads are sticking way above the windshield. And that's not good. But with that being said, for a $30 toy, and if you are a fan of Batman, there are worse ways to spend 30 bucks, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm very happy with it, clearly. And it's great to have one to add to my collection. It's just, I don't know if it's coming across on film or not, but it just looks slightly odd with its scaling. But nevertheless, the Batmobile, it's not bad. And last but not least, we have the Batcave, and this is the one that I am really looking forward to getting into. Again, beautiful, bright, gaudy colours in the packaging. This one is entirely encased, unlike the Batmobile. Now it says on the back here it extends to 24 inches, which is pretty big for a play set. And really, all we can do is get it opened up and get it set up. Okay, so now we've got the Batcave set up. And first things first, I have to stress, this is not a play set, it's a diorama. This is very similar to the things that Hasbro do with their vintage collection. These are not play sets. There is no play value to this whatsoever. Nothing moves, nothing makes any sounds, there are no levers. However, as a diorama, it looks fantastic. Now, everything is plastic with one exception, and I'm really disappointed to say that the turntable that the Batmobile sits on is made of cardboard, which is pretty disappointing considering that everything else is indeed plastic, and it's a pretty durable plastic as well. Now, the bat poles are all but useless. There's no way the figures can hang on to these, and they're extremely fragile. In all honesty, they shouldn't really have bothered adding these. Now, the walls of the Batcave are nicely sculpted, nice sort of stone texture to them. The abundance of bat computers and bat data banks, etc., they are pretty nice. However, they are hollow on the back, as I will show you here. So they can only be used the one way, which I guess is fine. So we got a total of, what's that, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, 11 pieces to display as you wish. The staircase and everything, it looks good. It can't be used in any sort of way of playtime. But again, people like me are buying these for the display value, and as a display it really does look good. Now, if we were to add the Batmobile onto its cardboard turntable, like so, that does look good, doesn't it? And then we can add, you know, Batman working away at the Bat computer, maybe put Robin front here, and I don't know, we'll put the Joker over here. So yeah, for display purposes, this is better than I expected, way better. They need to change the packaging because, just checking here, well actually to be fair to them, it just says Batcave. It doesn't actually say, I tell a lie, it does actually. It says on the back here, figures, playset and vehicles sold separately. So they are calling it a playset, of which it is not, clearly. There's no play value whatsoever, but it's a beautiful display piece, and I am absolutely thrilled to have this in my collection. So that was a look at the Batman 66 toys from McFARLANE, and aside from the issues with the packaging on the Batmobile, and to an extent the size of the Batmobile, this is a really good set, good line of toys, and pretty reasonably priced. So I hope they continue with this and give us the extra figures. So hope you enjoyed that. I want to say thank you for watching, with special thanks going out to the patrons. Please like, please subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for more videos from All Things 80s.